Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome back, Nina. It's been a long time.
It has been a long time.
Where have you
Happy
been?
everything again. What is this? What is YouTube? What is content?
I know.
What
Just to give people a bit of context as well, what have you actually been up to? Because some people are probably thinking, like, where the hell has Nina gone?
she just fell off the face of the earth, fell off a cliff. I've been in space for the past 3 months. No, I mean, yeah, it's been a while. Obviously, after the season ended, I started working lots on the World Cup for ESPN. So I've just been busy. Like it's been non-stop throughout like the summer. Took a nice break from club football, which was kind of nice. Obviously, kept on top of things. And then I went away for a bit as well. Nice break in Spain, which was lovely. Reset. I'm ready to roll back into it. So it's been good. I haven't just like been doing nothing, guys. And just but I had other things in my life to do, and
You've been
I'm
doing the
back.
blogging, right? Is it the live blogs?
Yeah, live blogging, loads of news articles. Obviously, England following closely. Shame that didn't win the World Cup, but yeah, it was still a good run in and lots of like positives to take. So yeah, but just ready for club football again now. I'm really, really excited. It feels like forever. And I think we always come to this point at the start of the season, Alex, where we're like really excited. And it's like Chelsea are just like, you don't know what you're in for this season. And then it kind of all goes up in flames. But it's just, yeah, it's the beauty of following your football club. But I am really, really excited to get
Before we talk about like this season, because I didn't even speak to you after Sunderland. No, I haven't.
Yeah.
It's just been that long. But obviously, I was just ready to get away from it. I was like, thank God it's over. Thank God, honestly. And even the World Cup, there was a period where I was like, I don't even want to watch football. Like, football just doesn't sound attractive because what I've been watching has been so poor. But I did get into England. Obviously, I watched all of the England games and like semis, quarters, all the rest of it. Like I was more into it. And now I definitely have that excitement, which really started when we signed Morgan Rogers, if I'm being totally honest with you.
I have to agree with you. That was the first kind of.
Yeah.
I said this as well because I wrote an article and I said this was like the first time I think as like Chelsea fans reacted so positively to a transfer news. Like even though like the fee was extortionate, it was probably the first time I personally said, "Wow, like this is actually genuinely really good," and gets you excited, doesn't it? Because yeah, it's just been a while since we've said we've made a sensible transfer. If that makes sense.
The thing is, as well, like that came out of nowhere. And there's something different about a transfer coming out of nowhere and it's just a bomber. Whereas when you get the constant briefs, oh, Chelsea are interested in this guy, we're talking about this, oh, we're looking at the wages, blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, come on, guys, get it over and done with. You know, we don't care. We just want to see what the signings are. Are they good? Are they bad? It's a bit like a game. Some people are a bit blunt like that as well. Don't care how we play, just win, right? And I guess you could look at it in a similar light with the transfer market. But yeah, I was absolutely shocked when we signed Rodgers, and pleasantly surprised with pretty much the majority of signings that we've made. Jordan Henderson, I thought was probably the only one that's a bit like, ugh. But then I'm looking at that and I'm going, good in the dressing room, and like we need mentalities. Tosin is not the mentality I'm looking for. Welbeck, you can complain, but he played for United. He won leagues. The Henderson's won as Champions Leagues, so it's like that is actually quite valuable experience. But I mean, in terms of the window as a whole, Nina, we won't speak too much about it. But like, how would you rate it so far? Did you expect it? What else do you think we need?
Yeah, to be honest, I think quite happy. Again, lots of unexpected signings, and we weren't too sure how much we'd actually spend in this window as well, isn't it? We're a bit apprehensive if we'd be able to spend the way we have, and then 117 million is just splashed out on a player like Morgan Rogers. But I'm with you on that. I think surprised for the Welbeck and Henderson signings, even though I'm also quite happy with them, to be honest. You know, Henderson, a player that people raise their eyebrows when he's included and called up for the England squad, thinking like, what? And then you just hear all the England players talk about him. You hear Jude Bellingham calling the most important player in the squad and the one that can just lift everyone. And that is something that you miss in the dressing room. We've missed it. We've banged on about experience. Well, you have it. Like you say, he's won the Premier League, Champions League. He's been around, and now he's back at a big club, and he'll certainly know how to bring in some values and motivate players. So it's so much bigger than just footballing ability for us, isn't it? Because we've signed footballers in the past who can do the techie bits, can do the great things, but so void of confidence when they need to go on a bit of a run, when they need to turn up for the big games. And experience does go a long way. So happy, and equally with Welbeck there as well. And can we complain about signing a player that scores against us every single time he plays? So if you can't beat him, just join them, right? That's the quote there. So really happy there. Think it could be good. How many minutes he'll get? Either way, it's experience on the bench, someone you can bring on. And yeah, who else? Obviously, we've got Palestra as well, one of the earlier signings who's looked quite good. And I know in pre-season everyone looks good and everyone wants to make an impression, and they all play with a point to prove. So really, we can see that when it plays out in the Premier League. But a talented player. And also, I like, Alex, the fact that we had our targets kind of set, and we have like gone about actually pursuing them and getting them over the line. So I think this window has felt less scattergun approach as we've seen in previous windows, and it's felt like we've actually gone through a list of players we've needed. Obviously Cucurella leaving, we've got the new Pep Chavaria coming as well from Rayo, who's an old player. Don't really know much about his game. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he's a brilliant signing because we're yet to see, but it's sensible that you've let go of a left back and you've signed someone who can play a couple different positions there and is quite versatile too. So yeah, it's all about addressing. I'd say we have done our business quite well, but we're going to talk about players, I suppose, that might leave, but there could be more transfer business to do, because if you let go of some key players, you're going to need to replace them, and there's not really much time. So I don't actually think there will be big outgoings, but there are obviously players we do want to sell and get off our books as well. But overall, quite happy with
I think there's a lot of outgoings needed though, Nina. A lot.
Yeah,
that's the thing, though, isn't it? And it's just a question of you can't pick and choose, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree with the players that need to go, but I'm talking players that you might need to replace, like if Neto and Enzo say leave. Those players you're going to have to. It's not like you can kind of just get on with your season, really. I don't think, because that's a big void you're leaving there. And we can talk about the players and their quality, and they split opinion, especially Neto and Enzo, of course. And there's a whole another layer added with the controversy around him as a player and his attitude, but. Like, say what you want. If those two leave, for me, there is a gap in the team that should be addressed, really. And it's more about what you're losing as well. I think you have to look at it from that way, because people might not think they add too much, or like Neto doesn't add too much. He's not got output, and it's all just like dribbling and crossing and all of that stuff. But again, he is a Premier League proven winger. He wasn't ever a goal scoring winger when we signed him. We knew that, right? But you have to look at everything else he kind of brings. And I think under Xabi Alonso, he's a player you can actually say, well, I'm keen to give him one more season to see if Alonso can unlock something there, because in that system, I think Neto could probably thrive. Maybe this is what he's been waiting for. And then again, Enzo, if he leaves, Enzo Fernandez has been such a consistent player for us. He's not always been great, but the G&A sometimes at the very top there on the contributions board. Again, like it's all about what you're losing if you take a player like that out. So
I'll be honest, I had this debate a couple of times, and I think both sides are right. I think that the side of you're not going to get better than Enzo, why would you get rid of him? I think that's right. And I also think, why would you want a player at your club that doesn't want to be at your club? And that's right. I mean, they're both right. But here's my take on it, Nina. He hasn't, he's flirted with Madrid. He hasn't said that he wants to stay at Chelsea. He's left the door open. So we know that he would go to Man City. We know that. I think we're aware he would have gone to Real Madrid. If Barcelona came calling, he'd go there. Like he'll go to a lot of clubs. It just depends who knocks, right? But yeah, it's the G&A for me. It's the G&A. Adam Wharton, you don't get that. Alex Scott, you don't get that. Even if you brought in Granit Xhaka, you wouldn't get that. So like any other option for me, if you're looking at like for like, I just don't think you have it. And so I think there has to be a sense of, listen, guys, we might not be happy with Enzo. And I don't know what your take on the whole booing scenario was, but my take was actually I didn't mind it. For me, it's, I had a bit of a debate on the podcast about this with Charlie and some of the others, but it's like your family. Have you never had a fight with your mum and dad? Like, have you never had a pop at your brother or your sister? And then what happens? You get back together. That's what happens. And I don't even think that the booing was Chelsea related. There might have been an element of that. I actually think it was all to do with Argentina. I think a lot of it was political. I think that it had something to do with the Falklands. I know that Enzo didn't hold up the flag, but it's death by association. Guilty by association. Definitely don't kill him. But, for me, like, I'm looking at Enzo and I'm seeing a player that we can't replace. I don't even think he's all that. I don't think his build up is that great. His duels aren't great. His shooting is very inconsistent outside the box, but he always gets in positions and scores. So, like, I don't really see how we can, we can't replace him. The time limit is, there's not enough time. Not to mention, if we did get the money, let's just say we got 120 million for Enzo Fernandez, it's just going to inflate the price of whoever we pay to replace him. So if we were originally going to pay 80 million for Alex Scott, Bournemouth are going to say, we want 100. You just got this much for Enzo Fernandez. So I don't even see from a financial perspective how that makes sense. And that for me is why I would keep Enzo, but that doesn't mean I'm a massive fan of him. I just, you can't deny that he's an important player.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you, Alex. And also, we're at a point now where I value consistency over just switching someone right now, because this kind of new look midfield that we wanted to build now a few years ago when we brought in Enzo and Caicedo, we kind of did see flourish eventually in the league. And I think that's so much more important now heading into, I guess, a new era at Chelsea, because we restart every season right under a new manager. It's so important to at least have some sort of consistency and those like partnerships that have formed from previous managers who have failed. And I think that's a lot more valuable when you're heading into a season where you're trying to build some consistency, because we've again had a big turnover in a lot of positions. We're going to see a new look defense this season as well. We've got some new attackers. We're going to see, dual tens and all of these kind of players like Rodgers, who we've signed. We're going to see more of like Esteban. We've got Quenza, who's just come in. So there's going to be a lot of change. And I guess midfield, if that kind of stays the same next season with like Enzo and Caicedo, how they've been going, obviously, like, we're going to see different kind of formations and stuff, etc. But I just think that partnership goes a longer way now at this point with how much transition we just have undergone. And you look at the successful Premier League teams in the last 5 to 10 years, they've had consistent midfields. It's such an important thing in the Premier League, isn't it? And again, we'll see that take a toll on a team like Man City now, with literally arguably one of the best midfielders we've seen in the Premier League in these recent years, how that will take a toll on their team as well. So obviously not comparing Enzo Fernandez to like a Rodri as such, but I'm saying we need a little bit of consistency for a team that's gone under so much transition and has suffered so much change. It just would be nice going to a season knowing at least what that partnership kind of looks like. So yeah, and again, you're right, we're at a point in the window where they will literally like twist our wrists for this player and how much we'd pay for any player that we'd go and buy, because it's late. Replacements don't just fall from the sky. You can ask for more, demand more. There's less time to think about a replacement. But yeah, right now you really just want to focus on the season and look at Alonso and the way that he embraced Enzo Fernandez at full time. He spoke about Fernandez in his very first press conference as well. The simple answer was, do you want Enzo Fernandez to stay? Yes. Do you want to keep him at the club? Yes. And again, Alonso has obviously been watching him. I want to trust and get behind the manager that he knows what he's doing. And if that's the player that he wants, then that's the player that he needs, right? And let's just get behind him and focus on what he has brought as opposed to what he hasn't. And of course, fans are going to be upset by the way he's flirted with Madrid, the way he's spoken about other clubs when we've just been battered by PSG after a Champions League game. And that's going to hurt, yeah. But there's so many players, and I'm not justifying that would literally go to a team like Madrid in a heartbeat. Obviously, he has to conduct himself better. But at the end of the day, Enzo Fernandez is a player that if he does stay next season, I think he will commit and he will put his best in, right? He's got no choice.
100%. I mean, I see his cousin in the away section all the time. Not as
Yeah.
much recently, but like you've probably met his cousin.
Yeah.
Like Enzo's cousin is always at the away games, and he's a lovely bloke. He's a lovely bloke. I didn't speak to him much last year, but year before I spoke to him a fair amount. Obviously, Matt was great friends with him before he got banned. Luckily, Matt is back as well, so that'll be fun this year. And I remember speaking to Enzo's cousin and sort of just asking him and like just about everything, and he said, listen, Enzo just wants to win. He wants to win and he wants to compete. And so like as much as I suppose I am offended that he wants to leave Chelsea, I get it, because we are not a solidified group of winners and we haven't shown the ambition to win. This is the first year we've shown any sort of seriousness in terms of clear plan, clear strategy, understand what we're trying to do, and we're going to try and reverse the mistakes in the most extreme way possible, which is also the most effective way. And so I think that's where actually we could hopefully see some sort of reconnection between him and the club. And that's going to ultimately come if we win trophies. So if let's just say we competed for the Prem, I'm not saying we win it, but we compete, finish third, finish fourth, maybe have a title challenge up until a certain period, and we go, cool, we're going to build on that. I think it's different. Picking up an FA Cup or a Carabao as well, got to win something. But then if you're having another season where you're just lagging around, scraping for Champions League, then, you know, that's when he's going to go. And I go, fair play, just like we did with Cucurella. You can't ignore what Real Madrid are. They're the biggest club in the world. And so, of course, players are going to be attracted to that. Just on Maresca, Nina, do you think Maresca is going to have a good season at City? Because obviously you mentioned City's midfield. I didn't actually watch the Arsenal game, but I saw the highlights. And I have to say, it's a bit like Fergie, isn't it? When David Moyes came in, you're replacing the greatest manager ever at that football club, arguably the best manager of all time. I don't really see how City gain inspiration from that, and I don't see how Maresca commands the respect of the dressing room. I just struggle to see how it all plays out short term. I mean, long term things could be different, but in this season in particular, I think it's going to have some they're going to have some teething issues.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's going to be apparent. But I have to say, before the Community Shield final, everyone still had Man City challenging and being, well, obviously Arsenal being favourites, but City being the next best team in the league. And I just thought to myself, you know, that's such a testament to Pep that even when he leaves and this other manager who's got nowhere near as much experience as him can still kind of pick up where they left off just because of the squad they have. But a lot of those key players are going. City looked very average against Arsenal, and to be fair to Arsenal, they played very well. So obviously there was an element of that and them making them look bad. But you know, City, I think, will absolutely experience a bit of a downfall, I think, but I still think they'll be in and around, but they will be beatable. And I think that's such a big thing, right? You know, you look at this City that Pep Guardiola builds, a team that no one really wants to play against, a team that, you know, Arsenal struggled for ages to break down as well and to get on top of. So it's going to be really interesting to see, to be honest. I'm not really with the bands of people who want to see Maresca fail. I'm just not really like that as a person. I don't really
think what he did was wrong, Nina. Come on.
I do, but I feel quite indifferent towards him as a person. I think with the, you know, just the whole like Chelsea changeover of managers in recent years as well I've not really had an affinity. I think with Maresca, probably I did more than with any other coach we've had under the new ownership. Take Tuchel away.
Just because he won trophies.
No, not really that. I think because players took a bit of a liking into him. He was quite a likable character until he wasn't. Obviously, I don't agree with the way that he conducted himself, and obviously him saying things out against the owners in the press conferences was the beginning of the end for him. There's a way to do things, but we know that things were sour at the club. Again, I'm not justifying that. We know that Chelsea has not been a very inviting and amazing environment to be in recent years. It's not crazy to say. That's why we were all at Stamford Bridge for the protests, etc. So we know that, but I think, you know, Maresca's maybe envisioning this very sweet period at City. I think yeah, we'll see how that plays out. But there's no way that they won't get hit by a bit of a reality. And people might say, oh yeah, but look at Slot and how he took over at Klopp. But I think that's a bit different though, because I think obviously what Klopp left for Slot was still a very cohesive team with like the right blend of the youngsters that he brought through, with the backbone of like your Alissons, Salahs, Van Dijks, and whatever. With City, obviously, a lot of those core players kind of have moved on or are past their best now. So look at them recruiting in the window as well. They're not really in for players who you'd think, wow, like that is a significant upgrade. Like you are now in the market with all of us of looking at the players that you can. They might be a bit average and you're going to look to develop. So City are now going to be the team as well who say, well, we need to give this player time. We need to give that player time. So how can you possibly go into a season where those players who are like learning on the job are all going to click into one big machine that does really well? I think City will still obviously be up there, but I think they're gonna be beatable, and they will have bad games and they won't be consistent throughout a whole season. We've already seen the cracks in the last couple of years as well. They still managed to kind of be there, but even then, not that convincing. So what makes us think that Maresca's going to have it figured out better than Pep did in the last couple of years when things started to unravel?
Yeah, no, I'm with you on a lot of that. I'm with you. I mean, in terms of just moving on with Chelsea, let's speak about the ownership situation, which is so prevalent. But actually, to be fair, guys, it is interesting today. It's not just another episode of why we hate the ownership, which we do, but we can speak with a little bit of context and potentially a slightly new sort of horizon for Chelsea. Obviously, right now, the majority of the club is owned by Clearlake, about 60%, a little bit more than 60%, I think 64% or 62%. And the rest is owned by Boehly, Hansi Wiss, and Mark Walter. But as it stands, it looks like Boehly and Mark Walter are looking to sell their shares in the club to Clearlake Capital. And the interesting thing about this is that obviously we were told when the takeover first happened that they could never sell shares. Turns out they can sell shares, but they could just sell them to each other. And so people are probably thinking, why is it that they're looking to sell their shares now? And why is it only Boehly and Mark Walter that are being mentioned? Why is this not in the conversation as well? But basically, the long and the short of it is that Mark Walter is being investigated by the US Department of Justice over $21 billion in loans, which have been alleged that weren't disclosed to state insurance regulators. And that has basically led to the sudden sale of a number of assets that he's had to pay down some of the loans. So he just recently sold the Los Angeles Lakers, the basketball team, to Josh Kushner and Bob Iger for $12.5 billion. And he only bought it last year for $10 billion. So he's made $2.5 billion off of selling the Lakers. I guess the question is then, what are they looking to sell Chelsea for? I mean, they originally, when they bought their shares, they were around 325 million each. So that would have been 325 million for Boehly, the same for Walter, the same for this. So they're looking to make some money on that investment. And from what is being reported, they want the club to be valued at 5 billion, which is double what we paid. So realistically, we're looking at about 650 million each if they were to sell their 13% stake. So that would be 26% of Chelsea that goes towards Clearlake, and then you'd have Hansi Wiss just hanging on to his 13%. He'd be the only other investor outside of Clearlake. So there is a part of me that would go, he probably might sell as well, although who knows, maybe he's enjoying it. I don't know, maybe he just wants to keep doing it for himself. So yeah, I mean, lots of politics around that. Hopefully that's quite simple to understand as well. So it seems to be more sort of personal circumstances that's forcing Mark Walter to sell, but also that there's another side of this, Nina, which is, you know, Clearlake don't have to buy it. They could go, no, we're not paying double the value for this. Not to mention the fact that Chelsea are in loads of debt and our financial situation is horrendous. So why would you feel like we've done well? Like if Boehly and Walter get out of this doubling their money, they have done a madness, in my opinion, because they're leaving Clearlake. Like Clearlake would be screwed. There's no way they're making back the money that they borrowed. I think it's inevitable that the club get taken over by someone else, but that's another conversation.
So, Alex, tell us then, if they do sell their stakes, what does that mean for football, for Chelsea Football Club? What does that mean for the football operations?
What does that mean for football operations? I don't think that actually means that much. I think everything already.
Less people, and it means no consortium.
That's true. Less cooks in the kitchen, right? But I think Boehly's been sort of shouting from outside anyway, and Barley's just going, yeah, whatever, mate, and just continuing whatever it is that he wants to do.
Can't hear you, mate. What are you saying?
You know, like when you're on the phone and you want to sort of hang up on a call after you've been there, you're like, sorry, I can't hear you. You know, like, and the other person's like, what the fuck? What are you talking about?
I'll know next time then you're hanging up a call. I know that's what you're doing.
You must have done that before.
Yeah,
I
have.
Fair enough.
Okay, moving on.
I've never done that.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just think the timing of it is really interesting. Like, why is this all coming out a week before we play our first Premier League game against Fulham? Like, the timing is always so weird with these ownership talks. And again, I'm thinking there is obviously significance in this, in the timing of this. Why is it happening now? Like, does that help Clearlake? Does it not? I don't know. Or is that...
It's all distractions, really. I mean, it's not good for the players on the pitch. They don't need this, but. I mean, when you say why, I think it's just personal circumstance. It never happens at a good time, does it?
Never happens at a good time.
I mean, I guess there's an element of, is this actually good for Chelsea?
Well, I think that's what people care about ultimately at the end of the day. And I guess you've got maybe, again, a clear face of who you want to blame when it does come to the ownership, and you're not looking at the different groups and the co-owners as such. And you've got then just one Clearlake to look at.
Well, I mean, when you've got a clear direction, everybody understands what you're doing. The problem that Boehly had is that he messed it up in the beginning. He just spent all that money and then he ended up losing control. So basically, from what it seems like, there was some sort of clause in place that if Chelsea spent a certain amount or went over a certain threshold in terms of the financials, that would trigger Clearlake to be able to take control of Chelsea. And that's what I think happened. And that's why Barley got involved at the time he did. And I don't think Boehly was happy about that, but I think that's just what happened. And so from Boehly's side, I think he probably just feels a bit disconnected. Like they haven't really done what he wanted to do. They sacked Poch. He wanted to keep him. They went down the route of, they didn't get superstars. They got young players, and the only real involvement that he's had is as a chairman, obviously taking, I think it's a salary of 25 million a year out of the club. Yeah, something along that line. So he hasn't really been that involved. So I don't really see this as much of a change from a footballing standpoint. Mark Walter's never been involved. He's just a silent investor. So I mean, I think it's operations as normal. But it just doesn't really make sense to me why Clearlake would pay the amount that Boehly and Walter are apparently demanding, because they want to make a profit for their investors. And based on what I've spoken about with Bobby Fairview, who you may or may not know, Nina, who's done a lot of research into this, and we did a couple of podcasts specifically on the financials, Clearlake need to sell Chelsea at a value of, I think, over 7 billion to make any money. Maybe even to break even based on the debts they have. So doesn't add up for me. The maths ain't mathing. And I don't think it's happening, to be honest with you. I don't think it's happening.
No, well, guess we'll find out. We've got more important things to worry about, Alex, and that's where Chelsea will finish this season, because 10th place, man. In my head, that still sounds just so crazy. Like, I looked back at my prediction video last season at the start, and I said that Chelsea aren't ready to win a Premier League title, but certainly ready to challenge and push the likes of who I thought would be Liverpool, City, and Arsenal all the way. And that just so miserably failed. And I think for us, the biggest question again, it's like we're not even focusing on other teams being better than us. We're focusing on, can we just be consistent? Can we like not be our own enemies again for another season? Can we escape a mid-season slump? Can we stop everything going up in flames when it comes to December, and that kind of almost turmoil we always seem to go through? But yeah, I had a look at my predictions, and I got it so terribly wrong. So I almost like,
what were your predictions?
Well, I had Chelsea finishing third. I had us winning a domestic cup, and of course empty-handed in both of those. But I think this season you can't help but once again say you think it's going to be different. We're better equipped. We've had arguably the most prepared and exciting manager under the new ownership in Xabi Alonso, and that's like the most exciting kind of prospect. You've got players who have quality, you've got players who you're waiting to return to their top form. You know, you're waiting to see players play together, and it's just, it all sounds really exciting. But again, like, can we do it? Can we be consistent? And I think that's the biggest question.
Yeah, I'm intrigued about the formation as well.
Yeah.
I heard you, obviously when you spoke about Palestra at the beginning, one of the new signings. He, for me, is like, I think he's a superstar. I think he's great. He's my favorite signing. I love Palestra. I would play Palestra on the right over Reece James. I love him that much. That doesn't mean you drop Reece James. It just means that James plays somewhere else. Plays in a back three. Very competent. Plays in the midfield.
Exciting, because we don't know what this new look Chelsea is.
Say that again.
I said that's exciting because we don't know what our new look Chelsea is like under Alonso, and neither do opposition managers. Like, nobody knows what to expect from us or how we'll set up next season. And we know that it's going to change. We know Alonso is going to change his formations. We're not just going to be one. It's not just going to be one formation every time. It's going to be different.
You think we'll play a back three or a back four against Fulham?
I think back three is going to obviously be like the most prominent one that we use. But again, I think depending on opposition, and it could change. It could change within games as well. Like, and I think that's probably the best thing. We've been quite predictable, I think. Certainly, like under Enzo Maresca, there came a time, definitely under Pochettino, right? Like the same repetitive thing we saw, but under Maresca, it became quite predictable. Everyone knew what Chelsea was going to do. It was the same thing. The rinse and repeat and recycle of the ball when it gets the final third, back into midfield, dilly-dally with it, possession, and no shots. And just, yeah, it got very, very predictable. And I think under Alonso, we're going to be a little bit more direct. He's got a lot of talent under his disposal across the front line as well, and even in midfield. There's so much more output. Like, I know Rodgers coming in, obviously he's not, like, his numbers aren't crazy, but his numbers are still really good. And I think playing off the players like João Pedro and Cole Palmer at his very best, hopefully, or even like Esteval, there is, and I think, going to be so much more output from those players. And it's been such a hot minute since we've had goals from across the whole front line, as opposed to just one or two players. And I think Alonso can definitely unlock that. And you see they're more confident as well, right? Take more shots, just have a crack at it. That's what we need to do more of, because we soaked up a lot of that. Opposition taking shots at us, we were not prepared, we conceded a lot. Well, why can't we try that? And we've certainly got the players who can do that. Rodgers shooting outside the box. It's been such a long time since we've had someone who can back themselves to do that.
I think once you got one player that does it, more people follow suit as well. Yeah, especially if you're good at it. Like, if Rodgers is scoring from that distance, that I'm not saying that players will do it all the time, but there'll be moments where they probably wouldn't normally do it, but they think, you know what, why not? And I'm sure that in a lot of these situations, they'll be encouraged to do it. I'm all for opening up the opposition. I'm all for creating space and obviously creating clear-cut chances. But I also think if you've got the talent at your disposal to score from range, like, do it. And we just don't see enough of that, Nina. I can't even remember the last time. Obviously, like, take away pre-season. When was the last time we scored outside the box? Now, I might be chanting utter rubbish, and it was only a couple of games ago.
Yeah, it could be, but it doesn't happen enough.
It just doesn't seem like something that's very prominent. you know.
No.
And even like if I'm looking at Enzo, who scores a lot, like he scored 1 goal outside the box for us, and that was against Aston Villa. If I'm not, like, tell me in the comments if there's another goal. I can't think of it.
I can't. But
Yeah,
just
we have
like
so many players that can do it though. Even Caicedo's got a cracking
Caicedo's
shot.
goal, yeah. Caicedo's an incredible goal now, like in pre-season. Like just that, like just have a crack at it. And he's scored goals like that as well before, by the way. Like I can't remember. It was against United, wasn't it? There was at Old Trafford. Caicedo scored the equaliser.
That
It
was
was
an unreal goal. That was great. That was great.
Really
Yeah, that
cool.
was awesome. Set pieces will be a big one for us this year. Because Quever's sort of stepped down, but he stepped down from set pieces. He's doing stuff behind the scenes. So he hasn't been sacked, but presumably he's just been relocated. And we've got the new set piece coach from Aston Villa. Can't think off the top of my head what his name is. But he has, first of all, he's been extremely busy because he worked in the World Cup and he was with Portugal. I think he was working with Portugal. So he's doing set pieces for them. He was doing set pieces with Aston Villa prior, and they scored, I think it was 28 goals from set pieces, which is unbelievable. Like when you're looking at goals over the period of a campaign, like if you're getting anything close to 100, that's pretty good. And so to have almost a quarter of those from set pieces, I think that's going to be a huge threat. Also, another thing, Nina, is height and I know Tosin's tall, but he doesn't have any aerial presence.
I'm tall, so
it's just, that's always something that frustrated the hell out of me. I feel like we just look a bit stronger, a little bit more. It's just like we've got a bit more about us. We can't get pushed around.
100%, yeah. And obviously like Colwell as well being back, Colwell almost feels like a new player to me, like a new signing, because obviously he was great for us and he's just working his way back. But you're just thinking again, like under a new manager in a new look kind of defense, Colwell's going to be like a new player for us as well. And we know what he's like at his best, and he was only just reaching that before his injury actually, so it's not even like, I think Colwell's ceiling's still higher than what we've seen. I think he can still improve, and that's exciting. So again, I think there's so much that we're looking to Alonso for, as in, improving certain individuals. Obviously, we'll see what his man management is like on a personal level as well. But yeah, I just think it's exciting. It's hard not to be excited. I know every season we come in, and because of the transfer business we do and the players that we have on paper, it seems like we should be at the top. And we definitely can on paper. Like even the last couple of seasons should have been so much better than what it was with regards to like where we finished and stuff. But again, it just comes down to consistency and having less like what if players, less players you're looking at and thinking, oh, he needs time. And no, like a lot of the players that we have right now, there's not that many as we have had in like previous seasons where you'd say he needs time, he needs to build his minutes. Like there's less excuses now, I think, or there should be anyway. At least I'm not going to be using that. Give him time, like I did when Mudryk and Madueke came at the club and when a bunch of other players did. So I think lots of experience. Obviously, players need to build their minutes. You have the argument there's not that many games for that to happen, though, and there's certain players who obviously like go who like they thrive from confidence, and that means playing like consecutive games and stuff, and they might not be afforded that just because we don't have that many games. But there will still be enough, I think, and building some consistency will go a long way.
I think, looking at Poch's season, obviously we had a huge injury crisis, which was a disaster. And, that didn't help us. Providing we don't have players who are injured all the time, I do think that's something that Chelsea are much more conscious of, just based on our experience of James and Lavia and Colwell and all the rest of them. There's many others. And I think that would be something that Alonso would probably be a bit more sensitive to. Maresca was sensitive to it. In fact, he almost sacrificed the Conference League because he rested Reece James. It was like, why the hell didn't you start our captain? Because I didn't want him to get injured. Hang on a second, we're losing here. But all was well in the end. I think Alonso's going to take care of the players in that sense, and I think that our medical department seems to be a little bit different to other clubs anyway, in terms of tapping the manager on the shoulder, going, he needs to come off, or this is how many minutes this guy can play. I don't mind it to a point, But I think that ultimately it's advice. I think the manager should have the final call, and you live with the consequences of that. But from Chelsea's side, they're going, this is our asset. We don't want you to depreciate the value of the player. If they get injured, then that's obviously going to have a dramatic effect potentially. But I mean, yeah, we've got a new defense pretty much. Obviously, Cucurella replaced by Chavarria. Palestra on the right. I mean, he's just added depth. So we've still got Gusto and obviously James available. In the middle, enquires is the big one. I mean, what's your take on him as a player? Because for me, I mean, forget qualities in terms of how he can play, but I'm just so glad that we've got another leader in there, a character. His profile is not necessarily how should I say it? It's not like a Thiago Silva type where he reads the game. It's more he's just able to recover using his pace and get his body in the way. Very physical as well, but he's definitely going to command that back line.
Yeah, I agree. Again, just judging off pre-season as well as first impressions, it looked quite good. You're right, he's physical as well. That's a welcome quality to have in a defender. He was quite vocal as well. Like you could hear him speak, and you're thinking, fair play, someone who's just walked into a team, new at a club, and you already have the confidence to be that vocal. It's welcome, because a lot of the time, in recent years, and in particularly since Thiago Silva left, you don't hear anyone saying anything at the back. You might hear Colwell, but we haven't had Colwell there as well, and it's a lot of like looking around and kind of putting blame on your teammates. And you've got Sanchez maybe shouting and being kind of the most vocal from, again, the back line. So it's nice to have a defender there as well who could be a little bit more instructive to his surrounding teammates. But we'll see. Again, it's all about putting him to the test. I like the fact that he's been around there in the league in the last few years. We haven't signed a defender from abroad or the Spanish league or the Portuguese league or whatever, and you're thinking, is he going to be able to cope with some of the best kind of forwards in the league? But he's already faced them and he knows a lot of them, so that's a big positive as well. So again, you might take away the excuse a little bit of he needs time to settle into the league. He knows the league. Let's see how he can adapt under Alonso, but he's an exciting prospect, and I'm happy that we've signed him, because again, I was calling for some experience, and I think he's got that.
I think it's good actually when you mention the Premier League players as well. Henderson, Welbeck, obviously Rodgers as well. That is important, just to know. Listen, this is what it's like in England. Help other players bed in. I don't think that's spoken about enough. That's why that I do have these arguments. I have had these arguments in the past where I sort of defended Tossing, because I'm like, listen, he's crap, but it's good that he's keeping the dressing room happy with Palmer. Like, that is a low standard. I mean, that was what we were working with at the time. But like, it's the same logic in terms of just the principle of you got other players coming in. Palestra, he might struggle with something culturally. All right, go and speak to Jordan. Go and speak to Danny, whoever it is. Morgan, you can help other players. Whatever it is, you just know what it's like. I think that's definitely something that is going to be important for us. Just in terms of like transfer news as well, in terms of what's actually going on right now, there's still a decent amount going on, to be fair, Nina. I mean, it looks like we're not going to be going in for a goalkeeper. Juventus bid for Emi Martinez from Aston Villa. We don't have any interest in Martinez, even though there's a little bit of speculation. So doesn't look like we're going to change on a goalkeeping front. We requested £8.5 million from Como just for them to loan Liam Delap for a season. And what have Como said? They've gone, go to hell, Chelsea. We're not paying that. And apparently they're looking at Moise Keane instead. And that does make me laugh, to be fair. It's a bit like the shirt sponsorship scenario where it's like, guys, just take the money. Like, stop being greedy, because in the end, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And if we don't get rid of Liam Delap, it's our own fault.
Oh, yeah. Also, like, what am I seeing that we're valuing him above 50 million for sale? I don't know who's paying 50 million for Liam Delap, but good luck with that. Seriously. But yeah, we need outgoings. I still think obviously a big priority. Like, we've done the spending, but we obviously know Gusto is potentially on the move. Jackson, we're not too sure what's happening with him. Neto being valued at 100 million. again, no one is really, I don't think, paying that much money, but I respect it from a Chelsea perspective, though, because he's an important player. Like, I know that people don't all rate Neto, and I've certainly had my frustrations, but again, I think I would certainly be keen to see Neto one more season. I'd give him that. I'd give him one more season just because I'm so intrigued in him playing in Alonso's system, his pace, and maybe that could finally come into use and not just be his only advantage, but he can actually make something more happen with it. We know that he's got decent crosses, he can get a shot off occasionally, but I just think there could be more to his game. But yeah, you're not making that much money. But what do you think about Jackson, by the way? I'm intrigued to know your thoughts, because we've in so many podcasts in the past, we've been on and on and on and on about Nico Jackson. But like, where do you stand with him right now?
I love Jackson. I think he's great. I love him. I loved him. I loved him under Poch. I think under Maresca didn't really suit what Maresca was trying to do. There's too much structure. Jackson likes, he likes chaos. I like chaos. There's a bit of structure's cool, but ultimately, if you don't have chaos, it's pretty easy for the opposition to understand what you're doing, and then it's just boring. It's like, all right, guys, you've been playing chess for 75 minutes. Can we please have a goal? Like, can someone shoot? Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so I want Jackson to stay. Originally I said, I would take 60 million for him, and I guess there's still a part of me that gets it from a financial perspective, but on a footballing side, from what I've seen in pre-season, he is just a net positive to this team, and people are so disrespectful of that guy. He has creativity, he can dribble, he can hold up, he can score goals, because people want to shit on Jackson, but I'm like, hang on a second. Everyone's bigging up João Pedro. How many goals did he score last season? 15? Jackson's best tally was about 14. So it's not like there are a million worlds apart in terms of what they have done for the club. Now, at this moment in time, we know João Pedro is a better player. He's got a better conversion rate. If he has 10 chances, he scores 7. Jackson scores 1. Right? That's the difference. Mm-hmm. Jackson needs a million chances. But it's a different profile as well. Imagine João Pedro gets injured and I'm relying on Danny Welbeck. I like Danny Welbeck. I think that was a great signing. I think there was a reason that Man United were interested in him. He clearly has something to offer off of the bench, and it is great to have something different in there. But Jackson is exactly the same. It's just a new profile. Jackson gives you something different to João Pedro, and Welbeck gives you something different as well. Options. Yeah. That's what we want.
They're not for like at all. Like Jackson, we've never really loved him as a traditional number 9 or like a sole striker up front. He struggles. I think we've always said that he almost looks more suited to being a winger, maybe like a dual 10, perhaps if you'd like to play him behind like a João Pedro. But yeah, for me, it's always been a little bit questionable with his conversion rate. I don't question his work ethic. And even like before the Sociedad game, the one we drew 3-3, Jackson had some really good runs. He was playing really, really well. He, again, he's got a good vision when it comes to playing that through ball. I think it's just if he's on the receiving end of it, he struggles with that decision making, what to do, takes too much time on the ball, doesn't have the same killer instinct as a João Pedro would in the box just to finish, so I think he's got some very positive qualities. He's likable, and he can also be very unlikable when he wants to be, which I suppose is also a strength in its own way. But yeah, I've been ripping my hair out with Jackson when he first got here, and there was a lot to be frustrated with, but I think there could be a place for him. Again, Nina from 2-3 years ago would be shocked to be saying this, but again, I think kind of ball carrying ability coming from deep. He's got some decent hold up play sometimes, some good forward passes we've seen. Not awful, but again, I'd price him quite high, because why not? If Liam Delap's being priced at 50, Jackson should be a lot more than that.
To be fair, actually, I didn't even think about that. If he's 50, then Jackson's like 80. Yeah. Like that, we're being
ridiculous, but yeah, if that's what Delap is priced at.
I mean, obviously we spoke about the ownership earlier, and if you don't know about Chelsea's financial situation, it's dire. Okay, there's no denying that. That's why we have to sell players. Obviously, we don't have Champions League. That's another revenue source, and so even when we're selling players that we don't necessarily want to, like Andre Santos, I get it. You know, that, but we can't deny that we've also gone the other way, and we've invested heavily, and we've invested in the right players. We've just gone straight for the big time instead of, you know, these strange signings like Gittins and Garnacho. We've gone down a different route, and so you have to respect that. Just on what you said about Neto as well, I totally agree with you. I respect the pricing on that. If you're doing that for your best players, then ultimately, if the money is there and people are willing to spend crazy money, then it is up to the player as well, because the club have ultimately set a precedent of this is what he's worth. And if the player wants to leave, you hold your hands up and you go, you know what, we're going to make a lot of money. The player wants to go. This is just the right thing for all sides. It's not necessarily what we wanted, but this is just how it's turned down. This is how it's turned out. But when you're doing that for players that you're struggling to get rid of anyway, that's what I don't get. I don't understand that logic. And so you want to get rid of Disasi, you want to get rid of Delap, you want to get rid of maybe Tosin. Just take the money. You're going to save a hell of a lot in wages because you dished out massive contracts in terms of length for all of these guys. And so save yourself paying them out over a 5-6 year period or however long it is that they've got to go. But I mean, in terms of business, Nina, it's not over yet. I mean, what else do you think we need, or do you think it's done?
To be honest, if the window ended today and, you know, we couldn't sign anyone else, I'd say I'm all right with that. I think obviously in my head, going into the season with Robert Sanchez as a number one is probably where I feel it's a little bit weak, but everyone knows where I stand with Sanchez. I just, you know, he's, for me, good enough to get you top four if you need, but for our ambitions, which are increasing every year, hopefully to be challenging and to be up there, he's not a keeper that's going to win you a league, I think, unless you've got a world-class defence, which we hopefully will at some point, but not quite there yet, or we haven't seen it come into fruition just now. So yeah, and I know people are going to say, oh, why would you pick on Sanchez right now? But he has got his weaknesses. I'm just a little bit, can he be consistent over 38 games? I'm not sure. He has bailed us out in a lot of games, but I wouldn't be surprised, Alex, if at some point during the season, like Penders, you know, does like a, what was his name, Petrovic in the middle of the season and kind of dislodges Sanchez from his number one position. That wouldn't surprise me. Again, do I know what Penders is about? Have I seen him? No, but I would be open to. Obviously a young keeper, but it's a bit concerning, Alex, if that is potentially like our next prospect, and if Penders would be our number one at some point, and you know, you look at the teams you want to compete with and their goalkeepers, the disparity is quite big, and it's an important position, I think. But again, who really is out there? Who could you go in for right now? I'm not going to pretend like there's a lot of options, and you could definitely upgrade on him today with what's available. But again, you know, if we keep the players we have, I think we've got some decent depth. Obviously, you're banking on certain players remaining fit, because that's a big deal. Let's be like so for real. You know, if Reece James isn't fit, God forbid, for this season, you're looking quite thin. But then obviously Gusto might leave as well, so that's maybe an area that might be a little bit light, especially with the experience that Reece James has. So I don't know. Would you think about another defender? I'm not too sure. We obviously have just signed what's his name again? Pep. Chavaria, but he's predominantly going to play out on the left, isn't he? Palestra obviously out on the right.
Palestra can play on both sides.
He can play on both sides, which maybe I guess that's all right for depth. But you look at our midfield. Do you think we've got enough depth in our midfield? Obviously, banking on Enzo staying.
I don't think we have enough depth. No, I don't think we have enough depth. I mean, if we're playing this on the basis of, and people seem to say this to me, you know, you can't plan around injuries. I'm like, well, yeah, that's kind of the whole point of having a squad, is to plan around, God forbid someone gets injured, who then fills in. But I suppose the excuse is we don't have Champions League. And I think that's a fair excuse as well, because, you know, everyone's going to have more time to recover. You get more time with the coach. You have a clear advantage, not to mention you're just a good team anyway. Like, you've got good players, you've got a great gaffer. So you should be at an edge every single game. When City have played on a Wednesday and then you play them on a Saturday, we should be feeling confident about, listen, we might not have some of the technical ability of some of these players, but we're sure as hell going to be able to run more and cope with that. And so, I would like another midfielder. I'd like a goalkeeper. We're not going to get another striker. Omega is apparently going to stay as well. That's been confirmed, so to speak. If Neto goes, we'd need probably a replacement, although I don't think we would get one. That would purely be financial. So then you're just asking the question of, would we cope? I think we would, Nina. I think we would cope without Neto. I just think he's a good option to have. How effective are these guys? Neto is not sexy, but he is effective. And he might not get the assist, but he's involved in the build up to that. Like, for example, the game at who did we play at home? I've forgotten already. Sociedad. He puts a cross in, João Pedro heads it, Rodgers scores. But Neto doesn't get the credit for it because he doesn't have the GA. But if you're actually watching it, you're going, listen, it's nothing crazy, but it was effective and we got a goal from it. And so I think it's just nice to have that profile in there. I mean, I've always been quite a big fan of Neto, but he did frustrate me towards the latter end of last season. Like we need, if we're going to play a four at the back, to just have wingers that are a little bit more direct. But as a wing back, I've been open to that for a long time. The one thing that I didn't get, I suppose the reason behind it is so they can both cut inside, is why you would have Palestra on the left and then you would play Neto on the right, when Neto's left-footed and Palestra's right-footed. So is that just so that someone else can overlap them? Like,
I suppose.
What's the sort of thinking now? I don't really understand. Where's the width coming from then? Because they're both going to go inside. Who's going on the outside? Like that was one thing I didn't get. It's not to say that they haven't been good, because I think they have been pretty good in preseason, but I just didn't really understand the thought process.
Well, maybe that's Alonso cooking something that we're yet to see what's going to happen there. But
we've seen it, Nina. That's what I'm saying. We have seen it.
What do you mean? Premier League, though, it's very different in the league. Yeah, and just one more thing I'd say for Neto is when he kind of came in and he was still doing all of these things, and we were like just sick and tired of him just spamming crosses in. What I would say is we didn't have the striker that would get on the end of there, or have the right movement to get on the end of some of those crosses. But you look at João Pedro now, such a breath of fresh air of anything we've seen in terms of that position at Chelsea, and his movement, he isn't a static striker who will just lurk there at the top and wait for goals to come to him. And I think, again, if you create more, if you continue creating as you do, like from a Neto perspective, you're more likely to increase your assists if you have got someone like a João Pedro there, whose movement is so free flowing and he can get on the end of them. Even like a Welbeck coming on late on, heading in one of those crosses at the far post, nice and fresh. Yeah, there you go. Super sub Welbeck goal. Occasionally 92nd minute Neto assisting it. Like, you could get so much more out of it, but I think even Neto was frustrated at times, or sometimes because he's got the pace and he's like faster than the rest of the front line, he would get up into those positions and then he would just have to slow it down and wait for people to get up front, and then he's having to either take on his man or not take on his man and just recycle it back into midfield and just lose the whole advantage of being on a break. That's why I feel he could be so much more effective if we are playing with wing backs, as we will be next season, because you don't lose that whole advantage of being the fastest player on the pitch, I suppose, because you've got, you'll have more support. You'd have the advantage of being a fast player actually work for you, not against you.
I don't know, Nina. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling pretty confident. I mean, I wouldn't say we're cooking. I don't know if that's the right word. I feel like you have to actually win competitive games to say that. But, I mean, Alonso certainly seems like he knows what he's doing. Well, we've seen him win titles, so we just want him to replicate that at Chelsea. For me, it's about win at all costs at Fulham. In fact, this season as a whole, I mean, there's two approaches. There's playing style and there's results. I really believe that this season there is going to be a real focus on the way we play. but I want us to build that mentality of win at all costs. I just watched the Mourinho documentary as well. I don't know if you've watched it.
I
Unreal.
did.
Although it was a bit weird when they were asking him like moderately personal questions towards the end. Did you watch that? And he was like, "You didn't interview me for that. You just interviewed me to talk about my career." I was like, "Come on, Jose, I'm interested."
Yeah.
But like the overarching theme is just win. Like I don't really care how we do it. People want to talk about how boring we are.
Oh, do you know what? It made me so like emotional watching that as well, because I watched it with Dad, and we were like, obviously, just I was like smiling, like grinning ear to ear, like obviously with the first when he came in and when he won us the back-to-back league titles as well. And I just thought, like, I said to Dad, I was like, when do you actually think we're gonna have that moment again? Like honestly, and I pictured it at the end. I was like, imagine Xabi Alonso with a Premier League title at the end of this season, and I just thought, yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. Football works in funny ways. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but I'm saying
Nina, this channel is not ready for us to win. If we're winning the league, then oh my god, like the crazy thing. Everyone always says like, "Oh, you only want Chelsea to lose so you can get views on your fan cam." We do so well when we win. We do so well. Everyone's just
want to come and watch this happy face. Be happy.
That's what I'm saying. And it's all Chelsea fans that watch as well. Like, let's be honest. When we lose, it's going to be the opposition fans that are tuning in a lot of the time. They just want to hear us complain. But when we're winning, everyone's all together. They're unified. They're feeling good. They're enjoying it. That's a great feeling. It will happen. I don't know when it will happen, but it's going to happen at some point, Nina.
It's got to, mate. It's got to.
The last time Chelsea won the league, Lewis was probably a teenager. I wasn't involved in football YouTube.
Well, neither was I. I was in school as well. How old was I?
Oh my god!
I was doing my just before my GCSEs, actually.
You see what I'm saying, Nina? So like, it's been 10 years. It's been 10 years almost.
Yeah, crazy.
But you know what they say, right? Football heritage. Wing backs are back. We had wing backs under Conte, won the league. Wing backs under Tuchel. Champions League, Super Cup, Club World Cup, getting to the final of all the domestic competitions. And now we've got wing backs again. I'm ready. I'm sort of pumping myself up a little bit here. I feel like I should end it, Nina. I'm going to dig myself a hole that's going to get clipped up.
Go for it. Yeah. Mic drop moment. Go.
Oh, what am I supposed? What do you want me to end it or keep speaking?
No, I want you to have your mic drop moment. What were you?
No, I don't want to do it. I don't want to dig myself a hole. I'll dig myself a hole if we start winning games, because I can't hold myself back. In December, if we're in a good period, I'm gonna. Do you remember when Lewis said? Was it after we beat Barcelona? He said, "This is a different Chelsea."
This is a different Chelsea.
He got destroyed for that. He took it well. He took it like a man. But that's how it is, Nina. I
said last season that playing Burnley is harder than playing Arsenal, only to go and lose to Arsenal.
You were right, Nina. At that time, you were right. The context of what you said was correct. A lot of people criticize you, but
you know what we have to do this season that would be a bigger achievement than anything we've achieved under the new owners is beat Arsenal, Man City, and Liverpool all in one season at least once. We haven't done that, Alex. It's been forever. Haven't beaten City since the Champions League final. Now is your time. Now is your time. Haven't beaten Arsenal since 2021, 22.
That was when Abraham scored, right?
Yeah, I think. Again, you're talking 5 years for all these teams. Liverpool we beat, but they were kind of well, that's a different game. But still, if you're wanting to win a league title, you've got to at least beat these teams once, and we haven't even done that once, let alone aim to do a double over them. So still, there's a disparity there that we need to diminish. We can't keep going to the Etihad scared or going, a draw is a great result. We took a point away from the Etihad. Go Chelsea. That can't stand anymore. Like, we can't keep playing that card. Like, oh, Chelsea the underdogs, because we really should be, with the ambitions we have, going and beating these teams, going to the Emirates and not saying, we only lost 1-0. We didn't lose 5-0 this time. That's an achievement. That can't run either. Like, you have to go away from that mentality. And I think if Alonso can coach wins, against Arsenal and like City and Liverpool once against them at least this season, then he's already done more than any other coach has in the last 5 years. So we're on to something. And he's got to finish the season as well. That's another issue.
Exactly.
Could you imagine?
He's got to finish 2 seasons, Neela. That's the problem that we have.
Well,
2. Even the rest couldn't finish 2. We haven't had a manager that's lasted longer than
18 months.
Oh my God. I mean, to be fair, yeah, you're right. We need to walk before we can run. Just win some of the big games. I think, listen, we've got the advantage. So if there's a year to do it, this is the year. I don't think we'll win it, guys, just to be very clear.
No, just to be clear, guys.
But I am open to the prospect of Chelsea challenging. I am open to the prospect of us challenging. Based on what we've already done under Maresca, we've challenged until Christmas. And so if we're a better team, if we're not going to have the congestion in December like we had before with European football, then surely that would be extended. So then it's a question of how long are you challenging for? Are you challenging until January? Are you challenging until February, March? Is it until the end of the season? Is it a question of us letting ourselves down, which is really a top 4 race? Or is it a question of they were just too good, whoever it was, Arsenal or City? Like, we did well and they were just unbelievable, right? They just wouldn't lose. They just kept winning. And if that's the case, then I guess we can hold our heads high. But let's not get too carried away. It's getting very positive, Nina. We need to sort of.
I know we need to get a bit negative now. Okay. Oh yeah, it's gonna be another dreadful season. We're gonna want to rip our hair out, and then we're gonna finish 12th and say, "Thank God the season's over."
Hey, well, listen. By the way, Nina, what's your prediction for the season? Where are we finishing? I'm gonna go 4th.
I've said 3rd already, so I feel like I have to stick with that. But actually, then I'm thinking City have to finish 2nd.
Why do they have to finish 2nd?
Because
what for your prediction to be correct?
My prediction to be correct.
So you're putting Arsenal top, City
Arsenal, 2nd. I think Arsenal will win the league. I don't, it's just there's too big of a disparity. There's too much transition in every single other club. And again, Arsenal have cracked the code of City that they did. They waited patiently, and now I think they're going to have their dominance for another season at least. But Chelsea are coming. Chelsea are coming next season maybe. We'll see.
It is a question of just don't shoot yourself in the foot. Like, that's how it could have been for us. Honestly, Nina, we could have won it. We could have won a trophy at this point. We could have won a league if we played our cards right. But listen, correct your mistakes.
Yeah.
And see where it goes. Let us know in the comments if you agree with myself and Nina as well. Nina's a little bit more optimistic than me, but I think we're in a similar boat. And let us know your predictions for the season. Where are we finishing? I want to see numbers. I don't want if, buts, and maybes. I don't want anyone to say, I want to see the Fulham game, and then I'll give you my answer. I want receipts. Put them in the chat. Anyway, big up to all of you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video, and up the Chelsea.